Firstly, I'm going to do getElementById that we have here on the screen. As you can see, I have a list of fruits and then a list of vegetables and then a couple of nonsense buttons here. And I'm going to use these things, this HTML, to show you how to grab certain. I'm going to use JavaScript to grab certain things off the screen. And these are the methods I'm going to use that are built into JavaScript. They are native to JavaScript. This one I'm going to do in a separate video since it has a little bit more to do with XML. Anyway, first one's getElementById. It's going to grab the fruit list. If you can go up here, you can see that this list has the ID of fruit list, and we're going to grab it, and then we're going to put it to the console. I'm going to run this, and there it is. Here are the 5 items. All right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to do getElementsByClassName. Notice the S in a lot of these. That means it's going to return a potential. It's going to return an H. You'd think it'd be an array, but it's actually an HTML collection, which is similar to an array. But you got to be a little careful how you loop through them when you get the results. All right. So here is the class name 1. Paste it in here. Okay. I'm going to grab the foods I dislike. There's different classes here. I put one in each list so far. I put a dislike class on a food on each list. One's a durian, and the other one is the peas here in the vegetable list. So basically, this will grab all the dislikes, potentially 2 that we see there. So it'll grab those 2, and then we're going to loop through those disliked foods, and we're going to change the background color on this from this light pink or whatever it is to burly wood. Who doesn't like burly wood, right? So, all right, here we go. We're going to run this. I think it's a tan or a brown. Oh, I gotta save it. There we go. There it is. Turn it to this poopy brown color. All right. If you would look at this, you got to loop through it like this. You can't do a for each. There's a few different ways you can loop through them still. Here's what it returns, an HTML collection. All right, next one's going to be the getElementByName. Paste that in here, and we're just going to grab the first one, the 0th one, the first one. So we're going to grab a button. We're going to grab the nothing button by name actually. So here we go up here. Here I gave these 2 buttons names. One's the hello button, one's the nothing button. We're going to grab the nothing button, but it's still, even though it's only one item, it still puts it in a collection. It's just a collection of 1. So I'll run it, and boom. Okay, here it is right here. I printed the whatever's printed on the button here. And that's what it says. This button does nothing. And then it says it here in the console. This button does nothing. All right. Next one is the tag name, which is, we're going to do getElementsByTagName. Basically, that's just getting the HTML element, H4. In this case, we're going to grab all the H4s. It's going to return a collection, an HTML collection, and we're going to loop through them again. And this time we're going to do a little extra JavaScript kind of funkiness here. We're going to set an attribute. We're going to set the style right in the element. We're going to add an underline text decoration. So these are the things that are actually H4. If you look up here, H4. All right, let's run that. It should underline these 2 things. Boom, underlined it. Next one we're going to do is, like I said, we're going to skip over the tag name NS one right here because that has to do with XML. I'll do it in a future video, probably the next one. All right, so we're going to play around with the 2 more. They're a little more generic. And I'll paste one in here. One example. We're going to work with querySelector, and then we're going to do querySelectorAll. These 2 things right here. first query selector one, we're going to grab this is kind of like jQuery if you're used to that. So I go ahead and use the built-in JavaScript ones. They're just as easy as jQuery, if not a little easier. Anyway, I've applied all these to the document object here. You can apply them just as easily to any element, and most XML elements too, for that matter, any of these. Uh, so we're going to look for the vegetable list, and we've already played with that. We're going to do it by ID, and just like in jQuery, you use the pound sign, and we'll run it. There it is. There's the vegetable list right here. And we're going to do a couple more examples here. Next one we're going to do, we're going to do query selector, and we're going to do it by class this time. Let me straighten this out. This I meant the one we just did. Okay, this time we're going to get by the favorite class, and these green ones are the favorites. So just like jQuery, you put a dot there to denote class, that the element has a class. Let's run that, and it should produce bananas and beans. There's the favorites, and there's bananas. Oh, yep. Okay, I caught myself here. I'm doing the query selector. So the query selector will only grab the first one that it finds. Even though there's two of them, it'll stop at the first one. So it's always one item. If we would do querySelectorAll, it would grab both of them. And let's run that. Boom, the two of them, node list 2. There they are. Here are the two favorites. It gives you a long line of properties here. We'll just skip all that. But anyway, the point is you get two of them, the 0th and the 1 here. Next one, we're going to do get a little more funky here. Okay, we're going to get something we're going to grab a name of something, an attribute. We're going to do it by attribute. Okay, so we're going to look for the attribute name in the element. And this asterisk means it contains the word but. So what I'm after is here, I happen to know that we have the name of these both have button, but I'm going to look for but. So it should grab both of these because we're doing the query selector all. There's a number of these prefixes, let's call them, to the equal sign that lets you do different things. This one is a wildcard anywhere in the name. So let's run that. It should grab the two buttons. There it is. There's the two buttons right here on the right here. Next one we're going to do is we're going to do a similar one, but we're going to look for where the name ends with the dollar sign, ends with button. That's what the dollar equals means. The name that ends with button. Anytime you do an attribute, you can just shove it inside brackets like this. Just put the bracket and then put the name in there like that. If you know the full name, you can just say name equals whatever. But you don't have to use name. You could do the onClick attribute to see what it said. You could look by this. Anyway, you could look for the attribute ID. It doesn't have to be. It could be any attribute. All right, so we're looking for name here because it ends with button. Save and run. Okay, it grabbed. Yeah, I grabbed the same two buttons again. Next one we're going to do is we're going to grab one that begins with a name, one of the elements that has an attribute name that begins with the word nothing. Let's look up here, scroll up. Okay, nothing button. That's the only thing that begins with the name, starts with nothing. So that's that caret equals that does the begins with. Save and run. It should just grab the one button. There it is. It grabbed the nothing button. Anyway, that is all of them. If I would let's do one more. Let's change this to an all. Instead of one return, it'll still only grab one, but it'll slap it inside an HTML collection. And then we got to get the 0th one. Let me just do it this way to show you what happens. And there is the collection of one item, the 0th element. And that's about it. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you.